close-up whispering videos. So I think I've found a really good way to kind of tie all of those requests into one video. As you can see behind me, I have this bookshelf stacked with books. There are 1, 2, 3, and one up top, 4 shelves full of children's books that I've had since I was a little kid. I just never got rid of these books because they are some of my fondest memories and also some of my earliest memories of ASMR. My mom used to read books to me from the time I was like 2 or 3 years old, and we'd read all the time, and I would get ASMR from her whisper reading the books to me and turning the pages, and it was just some very cherished times that we had, and I just never could get rid of all these books. So I thought, since I have so many children's books, that I could start like a mini series of videos. What I thought I could do is every week or every 2 weeks, I don't know how often it'll be, but it'll definitely be more than one video with this theme. It won't just be this one video. I'll do mini videos like this where I will select 2 of my favorite books from the shelf, and I will whisper read one of the books to you, and then I will softly spoken read the other book to you, and I will do some closely whispering and closely soft speaking, and some further away, panning in and out as I go through the books. That way everyone can get their fill and fix of the type of video they want to see, whether it be close-up, whispering, or softly speaking. So I'm going to try out this type of video today, and you guys let me know what you think. Let me know if you think I should do a series of this where I'll do a video like this every so often, to keep you guys happy with the whispering and softly speaking type videos. And then as I make these videos, I will definitely still do like sound videos and role plays, but this can help with people's requests for whispering and softly spoken videos. So let me know what you guys think, and make sure to like my Facebook page. It's always in the description. And I'm just gonna get started with the books for today's video. The 2 books I selected for today are Lunch Bunnies by Catherine Lasky, illustrated by Marilyn Hafner. And this was first day of school. He was ready to learn how to read and ready to learn how to write, but he was not ready for lunch. You better hope they don't have soup, his older brother Jefferson muttered. They won't have soup on the first day of school, said their mother. That would be too much for first graders like Clyde. You never know, Jefferson said. Oh, gasped Clyde. He could just hear a big wet splat of soup on the cafeteria floor. Yeah, said Jefferson, as if he were reading Clyde's thoughts. If the soup spills, the lunch ladies make you clean it up, and you really better hope they don't have mystery goosh. What's mystery goosh? Asked Clyde, trying to keep his voice as steady as the tray. Well, said Jefferson, you know how you hate food that touches, like when the applesauce slops into the green beans, and the beet juice runs into the mashed potatoes and makes them pink. Yeah, said Clyde slowly. That's what mystery goosh is, said Jefferson. Except at school the cooks do it on purpose. They goosh up all these foods together. Peas, carrots, a little yogurt, some cottage cheese for good measure, and you have to eat every bite. Jefferson, their mother said sharply, don't go making up nonsense and frightening your brother. It's not nonsense, Mom, and mystery goosh is frightening. It's yuck. Mystery goosh. Clyde hadn't heard about this, but he had heard about the lunch ladies, Gloria and old Mrs. Twig and Frances. They were very large and very bristly. They had scratchy voices and yelled at anyone who didn't finish his lunch or was too noisy. Lunch was beginning to sound horrible. When Clyde went to bed, he said to his mother, we should have practiced with soup. Don't worry, you'll do just fine, his mom said. But what if? Clyde swallowed hard. What if what? His mom asked. What if no one wants to eat lunch with me? He whispered. Don't be silly, Clyde. You'll make friends. I like eating lunch with you. But you're my mother. That doesn't count. Well, even if I weren't, I'd still want to eat lunch with you. Clyde tried to imagine her short and eating lunch in a school cafeteria. It was hard. That night, Clyde dreamed about cafeteria lines miles long, where you had to carry your tray up hills and over mountains, across rivers and down through valleys. There were scolding lunch ladies around every bend, making you mop up spilled soup, and there was no one to help him. He felt so alone. The next morning, Clyde's mother put his lunch money into a special little envelope. She made sure to give him the exact amount so he wouldn't have to get change. Now, what are you going to do when you get in the lunch line, Clyde? She asked. I get the tray from the stack. I put it on the counter to slide it along. I get out my envelope and open it up so the money lady can get it easy. You won't have time to do all that, Jefferson interrupted. Everybody's in a hurry. They're not going to want to wait around while old Clyde sister told me. No, said another boy. That's Mrs. Twig. She's hard of hearing. She can never hear what you say, and she gets the change mixed up all the time. What's for lunch? Clyde said softly. There was no answer from anyone. Then a very small voice said, I sure hope it's not soup. Or mystery goose, said Clyde. I wish Jello. Clyde decided right then to stand in line next to the girl who wished for Jello. Her name was Rosemary. Clyde's class marched single file down the stairs, along with the other grades. Everybody looked bigger and more ready for lunch than Clyde would ever be. Clyde suddenly wished he could skip lunch completely. I have a stomachache, he whispered, but no one heard him. Let's move that line. Clyde saw something large and shadowy in the doorway. It must be Gloria. Clyde had a close-up look. Gloria was big and lumpy. She wore a spidery hairnet and had big, tufty eyebrows. Both hands on the tray, she said, turning towards Clyde. Oh, you must be Jefferson's little brother. You look just like him. What's your name? Clyde. What's that? I can't hear you, she said. Her voice was large. Clyde. What? Right here, Sonny. And this time she bent over and pulled him toward her ear. Clyde. What a nice name. It rhymes with slide, and that's what you have to do. Slide the tray along the counter, okay? Clyde. Slide, she chuckled. Okay, Clyde said. Clyde took his tray. Sweetie, another lunch lady behind the counter held up an ice cream scoop. You want some? It's mashed potatoes, not ice cream, whispered Rosemary to Clyde. Weird. There were green beans, too, and something in a bun with catsup called sloppy bins. And there was Jello, but it was very strange Jello, stiff and carved into little cubes. It didn't shake or shimmer like the Jello that Clyde's mom made. Finally, they came to Mrs. Twig, the money lady. She seemed very old. Clyde was worried. Would she be able to see his money? Rosemary gave old Mrs. Twig her money. She did it perfectly and was now heading toward a lunch table for first and second graders. It was Clyde's turn. I have the exact change, he said in a loud, clear voice. Thank you, Sonny. Mrs. Twig nodded and smiled. Now for the last hard part, to pick up his tray and carry it to the table. He could see Rosemary ahead of him. Oh dear, he thought. There was some spilled juice on the floor, and she was heading right for it. Suddenly, he saw her skid. She hung on to the tray. Clyde felt his breath freeze. The dish of Jello went flying off. The little ruby red cubes of Jello were spinning through the air. They bounced soft shadow slid over them. No, no, sweetie, they're laughing at this stupid Jello. Whoever heard of Jello that boings? It was Gloria. Let me help you here. Her immense lumpy body seemed to fill up the air around them. Awfully nice of you to help, Sonny. What did you say your name was? Clyde. Clyde. A table of fourth graders started to snicker. Gloria glared. Listen to me. There will be no laughing, no uncalled for remarks. We've had an accident here. The table fell silent. There wasn't a single snicker or chuckle, not a word. A little second grader climbed down from her chair and began to help. Soon all the Jello cubes were picked up. Clyde and Rosemary found their way to their lunch table and sat down. Here's some new Jello for you, sweetie, Gloria said. Boing, boing, Jello, Rosemary giggled. You wished for Jello, Clyde said. Yes, she said quietly. And I wished for a friend, too. You did, Clyde said. So did I. And he forgot all about his worries. That night, Clyde helped his mother serve dinner. Why, look at Clyde, said his father proudly. Watch out for that milk, muttered Jefferson. But Clyde held the tray steady, and the milk did not spill. Not a single drop. The end. So that was Lunch Bunnies. This video is going to be a lot longer than I expected, but I hope you guys enjoy it. So now we have Amelia Bedelia by Peggy Parrish. And I think a lot more of you will know this book. I know it's really popular in America. Let me know if it's popular in other countries as well. Okay. I got this book in 1999. Amelia Bedelia. These pages are more smooth and they're more smooth than papery, I guess you could say. For Debbie, John Greer, Walter, and Michael Dinkins. Oh, Amelia Bedelia, your first day of work, and I can't be here, but I made a list for you. You do just what the list says, said Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers got into the car with Mr. Rogers. They drove away. I think I said Mr., but it was Mrs. Rogers. My, what nice folks. I'm going to like working here, said Amelia Bedelia. Amelia Bedelia went inside. Such a grand house. These must be rich folks. But I must get to work. Here I stand just looking, and me with a whole list of things to do. Amelia Bedelia stood there a minute longer. I think I'll make a surprise for them. I'll make lemon meringue pie. I do make good pies. So Amelia Bedelia went into the kitchen. She put a little of this and a pinch of that into a bowl. She mixed and she rolled. Soon her pie was ready to go into the oven. "There," said Amelia Bedelia, "that's done." "Now, let's see what this list says." Amelia Bedelia read, "Change the towels in the green bathroom." Amelia Bedelia found the green bathroom. "Those towels are very nice. Why change them?" she thought. Then Amelia Bedelia remembered what Mrs. Rogers had said. She must do just what the list told her. "Well, all right," said Amelia Bedelia. Amelia Bedelia got some scissors. She snipped a little here and a little there, and she changed those towels. "There," said Amelia Bedelia. She looked at her list again. "Dust the furniture." Did you ever hear tell of such a silly thing? At my house, we undust the furniture, but to each his own way. Amelia Bedelia took one last look at the bathroom. She saw a big box with the words "dusting powder" on it. Well, look at that. A special powder to dust with," exclaimed Amelia Bedelia. So Amelia Bedelia dusted the furniture. "That should be dusty enough. My, how nice it smells." "Draw the drapes when the sun comes in," read Amelia Bedelia. She looked up. The sun was coming in. Amelia Bedelia looked at the list again. "Draw the drapes." That's what it says. I'm not much of a hand at drawing, but I'll try. So Amelia Bedelia sat right down and she drew those drapes. Amelia Bedelia marked off about the drapes. Now what? Put the lights out when you finish in the living room. Amelia Bedelia thought about this a minute. She switched off the lights, then she carefully unscrewed each bulb. And Amelia Bedelia put the lights out. So those things need to be aired out too, just like pillows and babies. Oh, I do have a lot to learn. "My pie!" exclaimed Amelia Bedelia. She hurried to the kitchen. "Just right," she said. She took the pie out of the oven and put it on the table to cool. Then she looked at the list. "Measure 2 cups of rice." "That's next," said Amelia Bedelia. Amelia Bedelia found 2 cups. She filled them with rice, and Amelia Bedelia measured that rice. Amelia Bedelia laughed. "These folks do want me to do funny things." Then she poured the rice back into the container. "The meat market will deliver a steak and a chicken. Please trim the fat before you put the steak in the icebox, and please dress the chicken." When the meat arrived, Amelia Bedelia opened the bag. She looked at the steak for a long time. "Yes," she said, "that will do nicely." Amelia Bedelia got some lace and bits of ribbon, and Amelia Bedelia trimmed that fat before she put the steak in the icebox. Now I must dress the chicken. I wonder if she wants a he chicken or a she chicken, said Amelia Bedelia. Amelia Bedelia went right to work. Soon the chicken was finished. Amelia Bedelia heard the door open. "The folks are back," she said. She rushed out to meet them. "Amelia Bedelia, why are all the light bulbs outside?" asked Mr. Rogers. "The list just said to put the lights out," said Amelia Bedelia. "It didn't say to bring them back in. Oh, I do hope they didn't get aired too long." "Amelia Bedelia, the sun will fade the furniture. I asked you to draw the drapes," said Mrs. Rogers. I did. See," said Amelia Bedelia. She held up her picture. Then Mrs. Rogers saw the furniture. "The furniture!" she cried. "Did I dust it well enough?" asked Amelia Bedelia. "That's such nice dusting powder." Mr. Rogers went to wash his hands. "I say," he called, "these are very unusual towels." Mrs. Rogers dashed into the bathroom. "Oh, my best towels," she said. "Didn't I change them enough?" asked Amelia Bedelia. Mrs. Rogers went to the kitchen. "I'll cook the dinner. Where is the rice I asked you to measure?" "I put it back in the container, but I remember. It measured 4.5 inches, said Amelia Bedelia. "Was the meat delivered?" asked Mrs. Rogers. "Yes," said Amelia Bedelia. "I trimmed the fat just like you said. It does look nice." Mrs. Rogers rushed to the icebox. She opened it. "Lace? Ribbons? Oh dear," said Mrs. Rogers. "The chicken? You dressed the chicken?" asked Mrs. Rogers. "Yes, and I found the nicest box to put him in," said Amelia Bedelia. "Box?" exclaimed Mrs. Rogers. Mrs. Rogers hurried over to the box. She lifted the lid. There lay the chicken, and he was just as dressed as he could be. Mrs. Rogers was angry. She was very angry. She opened her mouth. Mrs. Rogers meant to tell Amelia Bedelia that she was fired. But before she could get the words out, Mr. Rogers put something in her mouth. It was so good. Mrs. Rogers forgot about being angry. "Lemon meringue pie!" she exclaimed. "I made it to surprise you," said Amelia Bedelia happily. So right then and there, Mr. and Mrs. Rogers decided that Amelia Bedelia must stay. And so she did. Mrs. Rogers learned to say undust the furniture, unlight the lights, close the drapes, and things like that. Mr. Rogers didn't care if Amelia Bedelia trimmed all of his steaks with lace. All he cared about was having her there to make lemon meringue pie. The end. The back says, "I'm going to like working here," said Amelia Bedelia. "One thing is sure, the Rogers house will never be the same." Okay, so this video